All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. I'm your host, Lashina Williams, and I'm so excited to have our very special guest, Jalen Christie, on with us today. But before I bring him up, I just want to take a moment and thank our wonderful sponsor for this month, Roots Art Store. Roots Art Store is a personalized jewelry company. So go ahead and show your loved ones some love by checking them out. And we'll go ahead and drop that information in the chat box. Also, while speaking about Roots Art Store, you all may have tuned in last week where we announced a very, very special giveaway. So we are excited. Just a reminder in case you missed it, we are doing a special giveaway sponsored by Roots Art Store and Nonprofit Enthusiasts. So will be able to win a bracelet, a personalized bracelet that says give back from Roots Art Store, along with the $50 gift card to whether it's Amazon, Walmart, Starbucks, any place of your choice. So we're going to go ahead and drop that link for you to check out that giveaway, and it's very easy. And I'm gonna do a little reminder of what the giveaway is, because when we have our guest Jalen come up, I want him to also share some tips for it. So what the giveaway is first, what you'll do is take a look at that link that we dropped in there with the giveaway post, and then all you gotta do is say I'm in. And what it is, you're going to record a 30-second video pitch about your nonprofit organization, highlighting the amazing work that you do, and be sure to share your passion and inspire others. Then you're going to post the video inside a group where fellow members can watch it, appreciate all your great efforts, so that we can continue to support one another. And then you're going to engage and look at others' posts that share their videos and like and engage in at least 5 people posts. And the winner will be announced during our final live of the month in June. So I want to share that giveaway, and then we'll get some tips for creating this pitch from Jalen when he comes on up. So please make sure you check out that giveaway if you have not seen it yet. And we'll go ahead once again and share that link in the chat box. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. I am so excited to invite one of my friends, and we met each other in the nonprofit arena. So this is so exciting. Jalen is known in Central Florida as a thought leader and retains position on the Public Relations Society of America's Board of Directors, the Orange County Library System, Friends of the Library Board, and the United Negro College Funds Leadership Council. He was also recently appointed by the mayor, Jerry Demings, to serve on the Orange County Martin Luther King Initiative, and selected by Valencia College to serve on its advisory council. As a writer, Jalen has written opinionated essays for media outlets, including The Grill and Blavity. His topics deal with diversity and inclusion, race, crisis communication, and nerd and culture. And I'm so happy because with all of that going on, Jalen made time for us. So let's go ahead and welcome up my friend, Jalen. Hey, Jalen, how you doing?
Hey, how are you? So good to
Good,
see you.
good. It's always good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. So before we dive in, can you have a project going on? Can we talk a little bit about your book that was released before we kind of dive into? I'm excited, and I know you and I haven't really been able to connect and talk much about it. So tell us about what you got going on.
So first of all, you are very kind. Thank you so much. But yes, just published a comic book. I wrote it and I illustrated it. It's called Stink Bomb Man and the Brain Kids. It is aimed towards children and teenagers, and it features three black superheroes that are working together to save the day, to stop villainy, and keep the city safe. So I'm really, really happy. It was a lifelong dream, a childhood dream, but I published it in Black History Month this year, and it's been getting overwhelmingly positive buzz. So I'm really thrilled about that. Yeah.
That's all. So tell us, in our programs, how can we use this? How can we integrate your comic book into whether it's working with our youth? What's some ways that we can make the most of this?
Well, you're very sweet. You're very sweet. This is why I keep you around, my friend. I keep you around. So I think the themes of Stink Bomb Man, the Brain Kids are teamwork, family, working together, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So those are the central themes to the comic book series. And you can see a lot of that in this first issue that just came out. So I recently gave a presentation to Audubon Park Elementary a few months ago when the comic book first released, and the teacher wanted me to speak to two of her classes regarding some of the themes in the comic book because she saw that as, a good learning utensil that she could utilize for her students. So definitely the themes that I indicated earlier, I think can go a long way when it's trying to get the message, to kids about working together and embracing diversity and knowing that there is strength in individuality. So those themes are present, and I think that it resonates with the kids. Well, I don't think, I can honestly say that I know that it's been resonating with kids because a lot of parents have been sending me photos and videos of their children reading the comic book and wanting to be some of the characters. So it's warmed my heart.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So, and when we shared the link in the chat, so if you know that if you're looking for a way to introduce diversity, inclusion into the classroom and make it fun,
Yeah.
check out Jalen's comic book. And I
Yeah.
gotta check it. I have some ideas myself, so I'm gonna be checking that out as well.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. So this month's theme is public relations and marketing, and its
Mhm.
importance to nonprofits.
Yep.
Before we dive into the theme, I just shared a giveaway that we have going on for
Ooh.
yeah.
All
So
right.
we have organizations. They already said I'm in. They're gonna be dropping a 30-second elevator, so to speak,
Yes.
video pitch into
Yep.
the group. So, what
Mhm.
are some tips before we dive deeper into the topic of this month? What are some tips you have for them when creating this video? Because our goal is this video is going to go beyond just in this group. They'll
Yeah.
be able to instantly share it outside of their social, on their platforms, whether it's
Mhm.
with their organization, personal. What's some tips you have for them?
So this is for their elevator pitch, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So when I first met you, I was working at the Salvation Army of Orlando, which is a major
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit in Central Florida, and you were at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Florida.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So my boss, when I was at the Salvation Army, when I had to write the elevator pitch on behalf of the organization, she taught me to be concise and to the point. All right. And then after I left the Salvation Army, I went to work for a marketing agency. And my boss at the marketing agency told me that when I was working for clients and helping them to prepare their elevator pitches or speeches or what have you, she told me the same thing, to be concise and to the point, because these days in 2023, the attention span of most individuals is not what it once was. So people want their information fast. All
Mm-hmm.
right, and that
Mm-hmm.
even translates over to public relations, because when we're writing pitches, reporters and producers and journalists and members of the media, they want to know about your event, about your organization, usually within the first two sentences. So get straight to the
Mm-hmm.
point. So I think that would be my advice for putting together an elevator pitch. Straight to the point, 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds or less if possible.
Yep.
Be able to formulate that hook, entice me, hit on, what is it about your organization that differentiates it from your competitors. And if you can give me that in 30 seconds or less, I think you're good to go.
Love it. So keep it concise. I love that. And I love the fact that you talked about writing these pitches, because sometimes we hear create an elevator pitch. The fact that it's 30 seconds or less, you think, oh, I don't need to write this down. I'll just, spit
Yeah,
it out. But I love that you're like, no, we
writing.
wrote them. Yeah. So writing them down so you know exactly, formulate your thought, then practice it a
Precisely.
little. Yep.
Precisely. So that's what I was taught. I was taught writing it down and then memorizing it. And then when someone asks you, you're able to, go into it. Everyone is different. So if that doesn't work for the individuals that are tuned in, my second suggestion would be bullet points. So if you can come up with
Hmm.
4 or 5 bullet points, but make sure that you hit those bullet points and then utilize that in your elevator pitch, I think you'll be good to go as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, let's talk a little bit about this month's theme. So, and
Sure.
I know for me, it took a little while to even know the difference. And you probably know because I kept asking you probably more marketing related questions. And you're like, no, Lashina, I'm PR. So can you talk a little bit about the difference between some of the key differences between marketing versus public relations?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. You got it. Yeah. So for most people, they tend to group them together. They tend to group public relations and marketing together, but they are, in fact, two different disciplines. All right. So, as Lashina indicated, I am a public relations practitioner. All right. I handle PR all day, every day. I am not a marketer because there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With marketing, it usually pertains to a product. You're paying someone, you're paying for a message to come across, whether that be with a certain graphic or a logo or a billboard, or how the product presents itself, or what colors will appeal to your target audience, or what fonts to use, or signage, or signs on the side of buses that go through the city
Mm-hmm.
every day. That's marketing, or
Mm-hmm.
commercials that you may hear on the radio. There are people that are dedicated to that. That is their discipline. I respect those individuals. I am
Mm-hmm.
not that person. All right. That is not me. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I handle public relations. So public relations, on the other hand, it's the mutually beneficial relationship between an organization and its publics. And what we mean by that is it's all about communication and messaging. All right. And what I mean by that, categorically speaking, is it could be media relations. So a lot of my clients come to me with an event or an idea or something that they're spearheading, and then they'll need me to help them make it newsworthy. So getting
Mm-hmm.
them on television or on the radio or in the newspaper or on a podcast, that is what I do. All right. Conversely, public relations could also mean um, an individual may come to me and they may be busy, and let's say that they're hosting an event and they don't have time to write the speech for the event. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do that for them as well. All right. It's all about messaging and communication, getting your point across. What do you want your target audience to know about you? All right. That also translates over to social media. All right. Social media is a communications function. All right. A lot of people come to people's social media pages and to their websites to garner information pertaining to the organization. So, what does that look like? That could be blogs on your website, that could be vlogs on your website, that
Mm-hmm.
could be putting together a social media content calendar, that could be identifying trends and then latching onto those trends to develop the social media calendar. So it could be the full gamut, the full spectrum as related to communication. So usually when people need those things that I just indicated,
Mm-hmm.
that those all go under the umbrella of public relations. So they usually come to me for that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about so why is public relations important to nonprofit organizations?
Sure. So that's a good question, Lashina. So I can start with Salvation Army. That was the first job that I had in public relations. And the Salvation Army did so much in the community,
Mhm,
so much. They just
mhm,
had trouble, getting the word out to the public because the Salvation Army relied on, the support and the funding of those within the city of Orlando. So when I was called in, I would have to write press releases and pitches on behalf of the Salvation Army in order to get our CEO or our director of development on television for either a sit down interview in the studio, or I'm inviting the reporter to the Salvation Army to interview those in leadership or our disadvantaged population that we help, or to attend an event. Because at the end of the day, the goal for the Salvation Army was to raise money. It was to raise funds so we can continue helping those in need. All right.
mhm,
So PR for nonprofits is important because there are a lot of nonprofits in Orlando. There are even more in Central Florida. All right. And
mhm,
it is crucial to be able to get your word out, because if you're not getting your word out, how will you secure funds? How are you going to garner volunteers? And like I've always said, because Lashina and I have spoken before several times, it isn't just television and and news. You can keep people up to date by creating content for your very own newsletter, whether that goes out
mhm,
via snail mail or whether that's electronic and you're sending it out quarterly. Your job from a public relations standpoint as a nonprofit is to constantly get the word out, because you're trying to get those funds, you're trying to get those volunteers, you're trying to garner interest, you're trying to garner board members or community support, things of that nature. So PR is it's paramount for sure.
Love it. And I love that you talked about the connection of public relations
Yep.
with bringing in different stakeholders,
Hmm.
donors, and the importance of that, because especially when your brand is built and people know, hey, I heard of that person.
Yep.
It's almost like your introduction. They know you before you even know them.
Exactly. That is so true. That is so true. And to your point, when you indicated stakeholders, back when I was at the Salvation Army, we I worked in the development department. So the
Hmm.
director of development dealt specifically with funders, those in the community that would write checks to the Salvation Army. Most funders, when you're a nonprofit, most funders want to see a return on investment, ROI. So they want to know how the money that they've given to your respective organization is being utilized. All right. So
Hmm.
we had a special newsletter that we created for those funders that we would send to them quarterly to let them know how their contributions and how their dollars were being spent specifically. And then that would in turn entice them to continue giving to the nonprofit. So that worked for us. And that was this public relations strategy. Yeah.
Love that. So let's talk about like our smaller organizations just
Sure.
starting out,
Hmm.
trying to figure out, they may have, like, say, an individual wearing multiple hats, which is often the
Yep.
case. They're the
Mhm,
marketer, the public relations, the person running the program, and so forth, right? But
mhm.
they're at a place where they're like, you know what? I want to hand this off. Right? What does that look like in this realm? So is that one like hiring, maybe possibly contracting or hiring someone to take
Sure,
on public relations?
sure.
I guess, like, what recommendations would you have to kind of get started? We're letting go of that, kind of building what your public relations, that team looks like for your organization. What's some
Mhm.
tips there?
Sure. So you were asking me all of the fantastic questions. I'm enjoying the conversation. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
thank you. I
You are great.
try.
You are great, my friend. You are great. Okay, so I think it all depends on your budget with the nonprofit. Every nonprofit is different. So, I mean, I keep using the Salvation Army as an example because that's where I got my start as a PR practitioner. But they had just enough budget to hire me. And to Lashina's point, you're most times we're wearing multiple hats when we're at these nonprofits. So I did everything public relations and marketing and advertising related. It was all wrapped into one position, and I just, I handled it. It was my first job,
Mhm,
in that world, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I think for nonprofits that may not necessarily have the budget to hire a full-time in-house communications specialist or practitioner,
mhm,
I think there are two options. You can either bring on an agency. Some agents, every agency is different. So some agencies won't go past a certain number. So you have to pay them a certain amount per month in
mhm,
order to garner their services, or they may, contract you for an event if you just need help with that event, and then you move on and you go your separate ways. With me, actually, I have my own agency, Superfly
mhm.
Nerd LLC.
Yay!
So there are small businesses in the city that have hired me to help them with their public relations services. Most
Mhm.
recently, I did the PR for the Zora Festival, which
Oh,
took place earlier
cool.
this year. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun, but that was a one-time event. So the organizers of that event, they looked at their budget and they said, okay, we need Jalen for just this event. All right. Everything
Mhm,
else outside this event, we can figure it out and handle it for ourselves. But this event, we definitely need some PR support. So they brought me on. That was our agreement. All right. So that's
mhm,
option one. All right. Option two is, and Lashina knows this as well,
mhm,
interns. Utilize interns.
mhm.
Interns,
Oh, yeah. Yep,
interns.
yep.
So I am a proud graduate of the University of Central Florida. I'm an
Yay,
even
go Knights.
prouder graduate of Florida A&M University. But I rep UCF. I rep UCF all day. I rep UCF all day. I will be earning my PhD from UCF in sociology in August. So
Yay.
I'm really excited about that. But
That is awesome.
thank you, Lashina. But UCF has what's called intern pursuit. All right. And I believe they do this twice a year where they
Mhm.
invite different organizations, different corporations, businesses, and nonprofits to come in and speak to their students. This is a multiple hour, I think it's four
Mhm.
hours tops, I believe,
Mhm.
for the students. They come in to the room or the hall wherever this event is taking place, and they're able to go from booth to booth to meet different nonprofits or different corporations or different organizations to find out what they're looking for regarding an intern. All right, that's
Mhm.
worked for me in several of the jobs that I've had. I've been able to attend UCF intern pursuit and then interview interns and then bring them on to help me with various projects.
Mhm.
Lashina, I know that you've been able to do the same. So if your budget does not allow for it, bring on an intern. All right. Please keep in mind though, I will say this before I go any further. Most interns are green, and what I mean by that is you have to cut them some slack because they're still learning. All right. But UCS program is so fantastic because most of the interns, at least the ones that I've come into contact with, they're really dedicated to their craft and they're really
Mhm.
trying to learn as much as possible regarding communications, public relations, social media, marketing, and things of that nature. So challenge them. If you bring them on as an intern, challenge them to come up with ideas for your nonprofit or challenge them to come up with a social media strategy or ask them, well, what do you think I should do regarding getting on television? Have them write the pitch, have them write the press release. Ultimately, if you get a reporter's attention, I would not have the intern go on TV to speak on behalf of your organization. That is not their job. All right, that's your job.
Mhm.
They can help you with
Mhm.
the communications process and the communications planning, especially if they are majoring in public relations or marketing at UCF. So this is like their first real chance to get a taste of, how nonprofit moves, how an organization moves, and then that equips them when they go on into their career in communication. So those are my two suggestions.
That is amazing. And I will, yes, um, interns are absolutely amazing. So whether you're here in Central Florida or wherever you are, whatever, get connect with your local universities, colleges, tech schools, and see how you can build a relationship so that you can continue to have interns on an ongoing basis. We benefited. I have currently we have an intern that's staying with us. She already said for the next year, so we were fortunate. It's not even per semester. So we have time to kind of train her and then kind of like let her like really own her area with us. So I definitely highly recommend interns. But like you said, just make sure that you have the capacity to train and like spend that time so that's equal. It's a relationship. So it's not just them coming in and providing to your organization, but also you providing them that experience opportunity, those growth opportunities as well. So make sure that you also consider that as well when you're getting ready to bring an intern in. If you're like the person, I will say, if you're the person like, I don't have time to train nobody, I don't have time to sit down and talk, I don't have time for that, just get the work done, then you definitely do not want to go the intern route. You may want to just go ahead and hire someone to come in, contract with someone to come in that a PR practitioner to just come in and take on what you need to do. So consider that when deciding between the intern or the contractor or maybe both.
Hmm.
And even with the internships, when we bring on interns, we're very specific on the project
Yep.
and we let them own that project.
Hmm.
Not we try not to have them doing a bunch of different tasks. You're doing press release,
Yep.
blogs, da 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 da. Unless they're at we have had interns that, let's say they're junior, senior level, and they are at that point where it's like, come on, let's go, give me all you got. I will do it all. We've had interns like that. That's absolutely. But there's some interns that you will know. Okay, this is your project, and this is going to be your project for the
Right.
whole time that you are
Yep.
here. Own it and make it great. So
Mhm.
just keep that in mind when working with interns.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good advice. And I believe, and if memory serves me correctly, Lashina had an intern once who did a fantastic job for her. And then
Mm-hmm.
when her internship finished, I was in desperate need of it.
Yes.
So I reached out to Lashina, and Lashina was able to talk to her intern who had just completed her internship with Lashina. So that intern
Mm-hmm.
was able to come and help me out.
Yep.
company that I worked for, so it worked out perfectly.
Yep, that was a perfect, and that's the goal, honestly. So a lot of our intern, and that's example one. She came, worked with us, and then here she is at an actual PR
Yeah.
marketing firm,
Hmm.
getting like she went from, and to me that makes me excited. We had another one who came in with us, and then she went down to Miami for an even larger with, and I won't say the name, with the cruise company down there with the even you know, a really awesome experience.
Yeah.
And I look and I'm like, I know I can't compete with that. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
And I'm
hey,
like, go have, like that's what you want out of the internship. Go.
but it makes you, so I wouldn't say that I couldn't compete with it. I would just say that it makes you a sharper individual. So if you your
Yes.
goal as a communications practitioner, like when I first started in public relations and communications, one
Yeah.
of my mentors shared with me that it's good to have PR in a nonprofit space. It's good to have PR in a corporate
That's
setting.
so
It's good to
true.
have PR in a agency setting. So you want the best of three worlds because it sharpens you as a practitioner. Because even if you work for a public relations agency, there may be a nonprofit that ends up being one of your clients, and you will have an advantage if you had started out doing PR at a nonprofit. So at the end of the day,
Right.
when you're living in PR, when whatever it is you're doing, you're trying to make money. All right, it's your career. All right, so I would hope that you, as a PR practitioner, you want to be disciplined in multiple areas. So
Right, right.
yes, I think
Yep.
that you set her up for success. You set your intern up
Love,
for
and that's the
success.
goal. Yeah, that's the goal. Eventually when the interns come in, whether they're able to continue with the position, a paid position with your organization, or go somewhere else, take that that experience and build upon themselves. That's what it is. So it's not just what they can give to us, but also what can we give to them as well. So I love that we had that conversation when deciding between intern or contractor. So again, if you're the person like, no, I don't have time, just go ahead and contract to get started with someone in the PR arena.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful conversation. Is there anything else that you would like to share to the nonprofits tuning in, listening, regarding public relations or anything in this month's topic?
I would say, when some people think of public relations, it can seem a little daunting, but it doesn't have to be as hard as we think it is. All it takes is just a little bit of effort, maybe a little bit of research, but it can be done. I did not major in public relations. I majored in journalism, which is a completely separate discipline.
Hmm.
It does pertain to communication, but it is certainly not public relations. So when I
Hmm.
was hired to do PR for the first nonprofit that I worked for, I had to figure it out. But once I figured it out, it became easy. It became second nature. So don't allow yourself to be intimidated by PR. It just takes some research. Know your reporters and know what their topics of interest are. Know what it is that they cover. Identify the reporters that you feel would be best to pitch or reach out to on behalf of your nonprofit. So if you have a reporter, let's say that you own a restaurant, well, then obviously you wouldn't be pitching the finance reporter, you'd be pitching the restaurant reporter
Hmm.
or the food reporter. All right. So if you are a nonprofit, you would be pitching the reporter that covers philanthropy or, philanthropic giving or, nonprofits themselves. All right. Just takes a little bit of research. All right.
Hmm.
Also recognize that not everything is newsworthy. All right. So I can't stress that enough. All right. Not everything is newsworthy. Some things are, but not everything is. All right. So you got to ask yourself, if there's an initiative that you're spearheading or there's an event that you're doing, if you know in your heart that it's newsworthy, then yeah, by all means, reach out to the reporter. But, ask yourself, is this something that's going to resonate with the community? Because the reporter's job, these local stations, they only have so much time. All right. And
Hmm.
they're being hit with, press releases and pitches every single day. All right. So know what's newsworthy. If once you feel that it's newsworthy, once you put together that pitch, remember that elevator pitch, that elevator speech.
Yep.
All right. So even when you're writing that pitch, whether it's via email or whether it's a cold call to a reporter, get your point across in 30 seconds or less. If it's email, the first two or three sentences should hook the reporter. All right. Also, the last thing that I will say is know when to pitch a reporter. Do not pitch on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays, reporters are coming back to the office. They're being hit with so many emails. Fridays, reporters don't really care to look at their emails because they're planning for the weekends. So Tuesday through Thursday are your sweet spot. Pitch reporters in the morning. That way, when they come in to work and they log on, your email should be at the top of the chain. All right, regarding
Love
what
it.
they see for that day. If you can't get around to pitching the reporter in the morning, that is okay. Do not fret. You can pitch them as soon as they get back from lunch, because once they go to lunch and they get back, they usually check their email. So if you pitch them around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that is fine as well. All right. And those are my tips.
Awesome, love it. Thank you, Jalen, once again for joining us today. So you all have those tips, and just a reminder, if you haven't done so, make sure that you check out the giveaway we have going on, so you can implement these tips instantly.
Yes.
Keeping it concise, going straight to the point, and developing your 30-minute video pitch for a chance to win a Roots Art Store bracelet
Ooh,
and $50 gift card. So please make sure that you check that out. Definitely check that out. Awesome. So thank you once again, Jalen, for tuning in. I want to once again thank our sponsor today. We have Roots Art Store. Definitely check them out. We'll be dropping the information in the chat box. And if you're like, hey, I want to get one of these bracelets, I want to win one of these, then join our pitch. All
oh,
right, everyone. Yeah. So
yay.
thank you. Thank you, everyone, once again for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Jalen.